What's up, guys? Reploid Bill from Reploidproductions.com, and today I'm here with the Retro in 3. I refer to it as the Retron 3. This system, to give you a little bit of a background before I go into this, the patents on the NES, SNES, and Genesis they're done. They're expired. This has allowed third-party companies to come in and create what they call the Fami clones, or rather that's what it's normally referred to as. This is one of the better systems that's come out from my knowledge of these type of clones. I refer to it as the Retron 3. This is by Hyperkin, the company anyway. And I'm not going to tell you that this is a great system. I'm not going to tell you that it's a good system. I really don't know much about this. My idea behind this was that I have old games. I have a Nintendo, an SNES, a Genesis. They take up an awful lot of space on your shelf. Now with this, the question here is, can this do the job of those three systems? That's what we're here to figure out. I figured we'd unbox this and we'd at least see what's going on with it. Right off the bat, one of the things I can tell you is that it doesn't seem to be a very pretty system. I mean, it seems kind of a big, ugly thing. But then again, I can't say that most of the original systems were very stylish up until maybe the PlayStation 2 regardless. So I'm not gonna bag on it too much yet. I'd rather get the actual facts of the system first. This seems to be the system itself right here. And not bad little system here. Very much everything on this seems to be top loader, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the front loader of the Nintendo, they figured out that they'd messed up. They knew that they'd messed up, and they changed it into a top loader anyway. So we can't say too much bad right now. There seems to be a decent click sound each time I'm hitting these. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I'd say that it's good, because you know that it's making connection. This will allow it to switch between the three systems, I'm sure. Everything about it is really self-explanatory. The question here, can it play the games? That's the biggest thing. A lot of these clones, like the FC Twin, has a really huge problem. Usually the color's off, the sound is ass. It's just, they're very poorly, cheaply made third-party systems that are just out to get your money, and they break down as fast as they can. And that's my biggest question with this thing right now. It's clean, it's new. I bought one that had never been used so we could get an actual idea of what's going on. One of the biggest things that I have to point out is that this won't take a lot of space on my shelf. That's pretty much my big kicker here. Normal little AC adapter, and this. This seems to be a real big draw. I've read an awful lot of things online where people hate it and then people love it, and some people say it's cheap and it broke down, and some people are praising it. So, like an adult, I decided I would make my own decision. This is your standard cables. This will work for the Nintendo part of the system, from what I understand. But for the other two parts, the SNES and the Genesis, they've actually included and upscaled it to an S-video cable. Now, myself, I've never actually had anything that used the S-video cable. Well, I had the PlayStation 2, but I never had the cable. One cool thing about this is it came with the cable, so we're going to go ahead and try that out on the SNES and Genesis side to see what it's like. The other part here, it comes with two wireless controllers. I've heard complaining online, fighting and bickering about the controllers are useless, they're garbage, throw them away. I'll make my decision after I use them, but at first glance, it's a pretty basic, easy little design. It looks a lot like the original Sega Genesis controller, and I'm into that, but it is a little slower. Well, smaller, not slower. I guess the only thing I would have to say is maybe this D-pad is cool, but it seems like it's the elevated type of thing that the Xbox uses. And in my personal opinion, the Xbox D-pad sucks a dick. It's worthless. I don't like it. I can't play games on it. All my fighting games I buy for the PS3. But it does look... Oh, and it has layout here. So that's not too bad. It seemed they... Alright, first problem. First problem. I've already found something. I don't know how they cloned the Genesis controller and then fucked up the map scheme for the Genesis. The C button is the C, but the A button is the B, and the B button is the A. And then the top three buttons are also wrong. The Y is the X is the Y, and the Z is the Z. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand how they could clone the Sega controller and then fuck up the Sega controls. I'm going to try to leave it alone. I'm going to try to play it and then make a decision, but that's ass. These will take 2 AA batteries. There's a little screw here we'll have to undo. We'll have to put the batteries in, but I guess that's really all I mainly had to say about this. Now we're going to have to hook this up and make our decision for ourselves. Standard, normal, usually anything that uses S-Video can't use the S-Video and these at the same time. So when you're setting this up, you got to keep that in mind, I'm sure. Make sure that you have only this at first, especially if you're testing the Nintendo part like I'm about to. The Nintendo will not run S-Video. Because of that, if we have the S-Video and this hooked up at the same time, it will mess it up. So we'll avoid that right off the bat since we know what we're doing. And we'll keep this. What is that? Okay, I've discovered mystery switch. There's a switch on the back of this. It says OJ. For right now, I'm going to make a wild guess and say that has something to do with Japanese or English or something of that sort. I don't know what it is, but that there is our mystery switch. So your guess is as good as mine with the mystery switch. I set this to NES. It seems to fit real nice here. That's not a bad thing at all. All right, yeah, we'll do it right here. There's that. Old style fat plugs. And now we're going to need a controller to play with. Oh, poopy. This takes AAA batteries. We'll have to find some of those. Okay. Batteries. It does feel kind of stupid to me. They have a clip. I'm not sure 100% what we're doing here. Screwing this in, I mean, is that like a normal problem? Do people need to worry so much about their batteries? Someone's gonna like come up and steal them out of your controller or something? I mean, okay. First thing I'd like to test out is the NES. I guess what I'm gonna try Mega Man 2, Ninja Gaiden 2, then we're gonna try this obscurity here. I believe it's called MiG-29 Soviet Fighter. So we're going to try those 3 games first and see if the Nintendo side's worth its weight. Alright, let's put this in. Sure it's lined up here. This feels to be a bit of a pain in the ass, actually. Okay, I might not be too happy with the way you load this thing, if I'm assuming that that's the Nintendo. Let's see if this is the Nintendo. Let sure before we make a mistake. Super definitely goes in the front. So the Nintendo, I'm coming across a bit of an issue where it's really super fine. Like you can see it in there, and since it's top loader, it doesn't necessarily hold it tight until you get there. You've really got to push the game. That I'm not necessarily comfortable with. But I grew up in Nintendo, and Nintendo had the front loader. Even though the front loader messed up a lot and the top loader came after, this does bother me a little bit that you have to do that. But I could just be nitpicking. The real question here is, does it work? And since I'm an adult, I can put the game in, and I don't have to hit it in or be like a 4-year-old child and screw around with it. So, does it turn on? Well, we got picture. It's awfully quiet. Let's turn it up a bit so we can enjoy our Ninja Gaiden. And I do have to say something right off the bat, actually. It came on. That could be a big deal in itself because, let's be serious, how often did you fight with your Nintendo to get it to turn on, right? But I also have to say something right off the bat also. I feel like the color is a little bit off. It's still playable, but it seems a little dark to me, like kind of funny looking, right? I'm going to assume I'm not first player. Yeah. Oh, okay. That took a lot, actually, to get that to work, so... Alright. I'll sit down and try this game, then. And I can do nothing. I can do nothing. Look, I got no action. I got the start button, so... Okay, experiment time. Oh, wow. You literally have to have the controller 100% level pointed at this. Oh, that's ass. That is super ass. It also feels sluggish. Controls are one of those weird things that's kind of hard to explain. Because you can see, but I could just plain out be bad at the game too, but it feels like there's a weird delay when I hit the button, like things are not necessarily happening when they're supposed to. And that kind of bothers me too, because I'm not bad at Ninja Gaiden at all, and you would definitely think I am right now. Jump. Ass! The sound issue. People were talking about the sound issue. I'm not hearing that big of a problem here with the sound, but this controller is bullshit. Nobody wants to play a fucking game like this. Bitch! Ha ha! Attack the Pez! Okay, our Nintendo side so far for Ninja Gaiden, the color's a little funny, I will admit that, but it's still very playable. The color doesn't seem to be off to the point where it really hurts anything. If you want to see when color is off, go to your HD TV and plug in your Sony PlayStation 2 and try to play one of those dark games like Resident Evil, or better yet, how about you put in, let's say, Metal Gear Solid 1 and try to play that. That game it's awful. Like the GameCube. The GameCube has something where, in order to make things dark, they made it super dark, and it didn't hurt anything on your tube TV. But when you got on this thing, it looked and played awful. I remember I died crawling through the ventilation system at the very start. I think I drowned to death, and that's absolute bullshit. So the fact that the color's a little bit off doesn't bother me that much. The game is playable, the sound seems pretty decent, but this controller is shit. Luckily, there are 6 controller ports here on this thing, and I'm going to go ahead and test out the original controllers and see if it helps a little bit, because I don't feel like I'm going to beat this train with this piece of shit. I can't even fucking pause it. Alright, going to turn this off. Going to pull out the game. Holy shit. Give to me. Well, it has a sturdy grip. Yes. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that or not. I've never owned a top loader, so what I'm used to is just with almost no force whatsoever. I barely feel like it usually grips some of the games, and this thing was really, really in there. And next we're going to go to Mega Man 2, and there's no way I'm playing Mega Man 2 with my name being Reploid and going to look like a bitch, because I can't play Mega Man 2 with this fucking thing. So, put in the next game. It's Mega Man 2, and we'll see if this one starts up without a problem also. And I'll test out the controller and see if the port works just as good as it would on an actual Nintendo. And it did not come right on, and there's a bit of a buzzy noise. Okay, alright. Okay. I'm not going to do the stupid blowy trick. I'm just going to try again. Put it right down. Make sure it's nice and in there. And now I got it. There is a little bit of a like a buzz sound I hear when the white's up, but now I don't hear it, so I'm not sure what that was. That still sounds good to me. I say that the colors probably are not spot on, but I really feel like the system seems to sound pretty good, and the colors are definitely the colors are definitely off here. This is definitely not the colors that I'm used to. So look, let's go kill Woodman and see what the level looks like. Wow. Seems like they're, I don't know if it's too much color or what. Kind of throws my eyes off a little bit though. Including the controller ports is definitely a huge deal. It feels a lot better to play without that piece of garbage that I was just using. And it feels responsive. I'm not seeming to have any sort of problem with the controller, so I'd say that the port, in terms of the controller port, is pretty solid. But the colors are still, I don't know if I could say that they're too high res or what's going on exactly, but it feels like it's way too blue, it's way too damn green, and this bamboo looks terrible. Yeah, monkey. I missed. No robot ostrich. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Now if the green has been any indication, his leaves should look like shit. That's Mega Man. It took a couple tries to get it to work, but it worked. I'm not happy with the color, but Ninja Gaiden was playable. This, maybe it's because I'm really attached to the game. It could be a big part of it, but there are certain games, especially, I'm not going to sit here and call myself a purist, but I know that it's not supposed to look like that. So it did kind of set me back a bit. Like I wasn't too happy with what I was seeing. So now we're going to come down to a major test. This, on the Nintendo, doesn't seem to work. This is one of these really rare kind of... It's not licensed by Nintendo. It had somebody written by Codemasters, the Chimerica. And it seems like a really sweet game, but I can't seem to play it. Here's the issue. It seems to have this double chip type of thing. Might work in A, might work in B. That seems like a pretty shitty, cheap-ass thing right there. Well, I'm going to put this in position A, and I'm going to put it in there. My normal issue that I keep having with this is that every single time I put this in, during the time when you fly the jet itself, it does this kind of weird overlapping thing, like you're seeing two games at once, and it makes it absolutely unplayable. If this can fix that, it'll be the very first time I've ever actually played this game. Wow, that really grips the game. It's like, I'm not sure I like the idea that it's really gripping the games. I mean, I guess it's a nice, solid fit, but damn. That looks like poopy. Yep. That don't look much better. You know, like wiggle the game here. That looks more poopy than it did last time. Reset. Not helping. Let's flip our switch. Now it's on the other position. It still looks awful poopy. That one came right out, which is wow. Switch it back. And I'm not going to try the blow in it thing. If it doesn't work, if I have to blow in the games and everything else, then that's going to take points down. Because if it's brand new, it should work, period. Every one of the games has been cleaned and thoroughly checked to make sure that they did work on the original front loader. So if this doesn't play it, then that's going to be a compatibility issue, which it is kind of a weird, unlicensed, third-party, strange game anyway. So if it doesn't work, I guess I'm not crying. Oh, there. Took a couple tries. But here it is, with this terrible shit green color. Now, every time this game is messed up, it's usually been when the game is actually starting. We start the game, we lift off, and as you fight other jets that come in, a lot like Hot Shots, I believe the game was, it seems to just screw up. Like, oh my god, the indicator at the bottom is really hard to see. But it's working. It feels a little faster than when I've actually played it before too. Like maybe there was a bit of a lag type of problem on the actual Nintendo. I have to say that that's a bit of a thumbs up, and I just got kamikaze or missiled. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I'm not going to claim to be good at this game either, so what you're seeing isn't necessarily a skill demonstration. I just wanted to see if it would work, and maybe someday I could get good at it. The fact that it works even though the colors are kind of shitty, which green seems to be a big fucking problem for this system. It really likes the color green, wants to exaggerate it. No, douches. Oh, you son of a bitch! Oh, no! Oh, fuck, I suck. Oh! And I'm dead. But the game does work. Except for this. I don't know if they're trying to be clever or if that's just some sort of fuck up, but it's gay. Either way you want to look at it. Well, that looks terrible. I'm not going to sit here and try to justify this screen and say that it's on a high definition TV or some shit. That looks like ass, and there's no fucking reason it should look that goddamn bad. Ugh, son of a bitch. Okay, the game's... Okay, Nintendo. It does work. It seems to exaggerate the color green. That seems to be a huge problem. The other issue is that it really, really, really grips the games, but it does seem to play them, and it seems to play them well. No real issue. With an actual controller, this could be a decent little thing to waste some time with. Maybe say if you're trying to get in to Nintendo and you're not really 100% sure, and you might want to try the other systems too. I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll go through the other systems, but the Nintendo, I would probably... If we go on the basis that Nintendo is a 5 out of 5 because it's the original hardware, I might give this a 3. It's an average attempt to emulate the process. But, suggestion being, if you're really wanting to get into Nintendo, try out a couple things maybe on the virtual market first. See if you like them. If it's something you like, drop the money for a Nintendo. I would advise getting a top loader, NES 101. The NES original has a bit of an issue with a security system. I believe it was called the 10 NES. It was a chip on 10 of the pegs that had to be in constant communication with the game. This would cause the infamous effect of the red blinking light. The red blinking light was not actually an error in your system where you would have to take the game out and blow into the game or breathe into it or clean it with alcohol and put it back in. That wasn't the actual issue, and a lot of people damaged their games without realizing by hitting the side of the Nintendo or trying to shove it left and right inside of there. And the real issue was that it simply lost communication with a security chip that it has to have communication with all the time. And if it ever loses communication, it turns the system off. This caused the red blinking light effect. So the top loader took that out and pretty much works all of the time. There's very few problems you're ever going to have with an NES 101. As for this, I still can't guarantee you buy this. Nintendo side, 3 out of 5. Let's move on to Sega Genesis. And to do that, we're going to have to hook up the S-Video cable. Supposedly, the S-Video cable not only upscales the games, but in some cases makes them look brighter, smoother, and a little bit better than they did before. That I'm looking forward to. And if it actually does this, then I'm going to be super excited, and this will definitely get a bigger grade from me. As it stands right now, I'm still saying 3 out of 5, 5 out of 5 being the original systems. So, one more issue. I do not have a Genesis controller I can use on this system right now. So I'm going to use the piece of shit controller, and hopefully the games will still be enjoyable. But no promises. Now let's hook the other system up. Crappy controller. Switch this to the Genesis. And I will try 2 games. I will try my Maximum Carnage, and I'll try T2, the arcade edition. Ugh. Man, that feels... Wow. Okay. It's broke in, I guess. I switched it to Genesis. I've never used an S-Video cord before, like I said. I hope I hooked this all up right. Let's see if it turns on. That's the first indication. Oh, there it is. So, I must have done it right. I guess there really wasn't nothing to it, but you understand. Now, one thing I've read is that the Sega Genesis has super low volume, and you kind of have to crank your TV to even be able to hear it. It doesn't sound like it's that terrible, and it looks good. It seems to look good. The green doesn't seem as overwhelming as it was on the other system, and I don't know if that's due to the S-Video cord or anything like that. From the way I understand it, S-Video was kind of the first time we ever jumped into HD. It was kind of smoother. It transferred the signal a lot easier. It kind of amplified and brightened up the colors. So maybe, just maybe, with the S-Video cord, it can redeem itself on a little bit of that color structure. Oh no! Oh, there we go. Yeah! It's been an awful long time since I've played this game. And I'd probably tell you that I suck at it. Oh, bitch! In the face! These missiles suck. Oh, I killed that guy. That's my fault. I'm supposed to be helping people. Oh, I killed that guy too. Look, I'm a team-killing fucktard. Oh yeah, headshots! Bitch! 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 Yeah. Alright. Not to spend too much time with that. It looked good. It played good. It was really, really fucking in there. That bothers me. It really does. Even on the Genesis, I remember that was a top loader, and it even had that crunch sound that you kind of got like back with Atari, which was what Nintendo was trying to avoid with the front loader system. And even though it didn't quite work out in their favor, I still feel like this thing is a little too tight. Like maybe the prongs need to be loosened a little bit, but I'm not going to sit there and do it myself right now because I'm just trying to review it in general. Oh my god. Okay. Maximum Carnage. Maybe the sound is a little low. Let's turn it up and groove, yeah? The white doesn't seem as white as it should be. It kind of confuses me, but it is kind of an older game too, and it could be that I'm used to things like the high definition white that we see nowadays, so I can't really pass judgment yet. Seems like it's a little fuzzy too in the background somewhere, and I'm not sure if that's the way the game was. It's been a long time since I've got to enjoy my Sega games, which is primarily one of the main reasons I bought this originally, was to, until I can set new controllers and whatnot, I wanted to review this anyway, and I thought it'd be cool if it did work. Yeah! It seems, I still feel like there's a weird delay in what's happening here with this controller. Like, sometimes he's hitting do, and sometimes he's not punching at all, or he's punching really slow. That certainly means a lot in a game like this, so definitely use your actual controllers. But as it stands so far with this game, I'd say that it looks good, I'd say that it plays good. It seems a little bit fuzzy. Let's give the system a chance real quick, and I'm going to mess with my TV a bit. Let me see if I can change the way that it's viewed. There's my dynamic with the colors turned a little better. standard TVs, movies, games. So what do you say about right there, yeah? And that looks a little better to me. And then, let's try this. Right now I have it on stretch. Let's stop that. That's kind of more like it. It wasn't originally a big widescreen game anyway. So let's turn it back on and see, can make up a little more. Now I can't do shit. It's getting a little confusing actually. See, the C button is doing this, and now I'm attacking with the B button, which it's kind of weird because the A button used to attack and the B button was actually my jump, and that's kind of confusing me when I play a bit. So it's not necessarily all the controller, but no, yeah, it is. It's all the controller. It's bullshit that they can't clone the fucking Sega controller and then not fucking get the button layout right. What the fuck is that? See, there it was again. Kind of like a slowness. Oh, bitch. Swinging. Oh, man, that is really messing me up. I mean, you'd think I'd get used to it, but when you've played a game for so many years with a certain controls and then all of a sudden the controls are fucking wrong, when you're holding a controller that feels exactly like the controller is supposed to play, like, that's like if somebody fucking invited you to play Tekken and over at their house they purposely changed the controller so that everything was fucking backwards, and every time you tried to do an attack you couldn't fucking do it because the controller layout was wrong. That's really fucking douchey move, and that's exactly what this feels like. Like somebody did a really fucking douchey move. And I just let him go because of it. Bitch. Alright. I think I've played this about enough. I think I've seen pretty much what I'm going to see. I'm not going to judge it for being pixelated because when it comes right down to it, these were pixel games, okay? So that I'm not going to say much about. But what I will say is that after I went and I turned my TV from the dynamic setting that it was on, it does look very good. I feel like it's accurate. I feel like it's no longer that little fuzzy thing that I had at the start of the game. Like the screens look nice and crisp and bright, and I'm not 100% sure if that's just the cord or if it's a combination of the cord and the TV, but I would say that my biggest problem with this now is this. Like, I feel like I'm going to fucking break this damn thing. That really does worry me. I'm going to have to say, if you have a Sega controller, not this fucking stupid thing here, yeah. If you have an actual Sega controller, I would say use the Sega controller. This thing is garbage. They were 100% right when they said it was garbage. And I'd imagine that with the Sega controller, this might be a decent little Sega emulator clone type of system. So far, I can't complain about the Sega side. It was bright, it was nice, it seemed to work really well. I wish I had Sonic. That would be the major indicator here, but I don't. These are a couple of what I had, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and move on to the SNES now. I would actually say that the Sega for this would probably be a 4 out of 5. My biggest complaint is that these don't work, and even if you get them to fucking work, the controller isn't right. Let's move to SNES. Alright, step 1, Super Nintendo. I set the TV up so it would be more like that letterbox style, which definitely helped the last time. And I got my Super controller because I'm not using that piece of shit, dog shit ass, garbage fucking... These controllers are ass. They really are garbage. I can't fucking live this down right off the bat. Even if the Super Nintendo is absolutely perfect, it goes down to a 4 because those fucking controllers were included in the first place. So, in order to give a real good demonstration of what the Super Nintendo is, since it was possibly one of the biggest systems ever released, one of the largest, greatest systems to ever come out, we've definitely got to go kind of roundabout here. I'm going to start us off with Super Street Fighter 2, and we'll see what that looks like. That felt great. That felt the Super Nintendo felt great. Like I didn't have to push it down that much. It seems real tight. Like if it works properly, then that was the best one out of these two. Because the other two, you really had to push them in and you really had to take them out. Shit. And now the sound's back to normal. So the Sega definitely is kind of loud. I'd say so far it actually looks really good. I'm not having an issue with the green like I did on the Nintendo, and I'm definitely seeing that the blue came out real nice, and this looks nice right here. It's been a long time since I've played this game. This is not an issue with the controller. It is most definitely an issue with me. After I'm getting used to the PlayStation controller, I definitely feel a major difference in older controllers. Like the Super Nintendo controller, the D-pad doesn't feel as well adjusted, but really this is my issue. It's not the game. The control seems to work fine. The port is excellent, and I'd say that the color is working out real well. I'd say that everything looks decent on it. Stop it! You know what's funny is you have to hold back for 3 seconds and then hit forward to do that fucking attack. And she seems to be doing it not while just standing still, but in general. I've seen her fucking walk towards me one time. That's bullshit. Now I'm going to take the game out. Not bad. I'd say that the Super Nintendo, it went in just as easily as it came out. And I really have no issue with that. We're going to go to Mario All-Stars. We're going to see what that looks like. I've actually heard rumor that Mario All-Stars doesn't even work on the system, which would be a compatibility issue, which would definitely have to bring its grade down further. But let's try it out. It came on. What I can definitely say right now is that you're always going to hear stuff on the internet, you're going to read about things, and people are going to cry and bitch and whine and moan, and that's just the way people are, and especially with things like the new little sites that have come up, and the forums in general that allow people to bitch freely, you're going to find people like this that just can't wait to tear something down. So, like I said, the reason I bought this game in the first place, or rather this system, was to make my own judgment, to not sit there and just listen to somebody else's bitching, because people bitch. Star. There, I saved. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I've also heard rumor that some of the save batteries don't work. Even if your battery actually still works in the case, it won't work on this system. And just to be sure, I just saved. I'm going to go in and I'm going to see if my save file is there. If you noticed when I started the game, I purposely had everything deleted so that I could see if it saved. And it did save. So that's going to be a major thing for us, especially playing games. We don't want to play the game just to waste time, most of us anyway. We want to be able to play the game and get somewhere and move forward and experience something, and the game does save. So that's another big indicator for the Super Nintendo side. Now we're going to move to Donkey Kong Country. Sound issue. Right off the bat, I can tell you that the sound was definitely not as, I want to say vivid, but it's not the word I'm actually looking for. The sound seems to be faint somehow. I could go over a bunch of extra lives and things like that, but really I'm just trying to play the game as quick as I can and get a bit of a review going. So I know about the little tricks, I'm just choosing not to do them. Except for that one that I just fell into. I have no issue with this. I mean, the sound didn't sound as good at the start, but it seems to have no problem right here. And as I played that little area right there, it didn't seem to sound bad. So as it stands right now, I'd say Donkey Kong Country works perfect on it. You know, aside from the beginning, the little part where the sound didn't seem to sound as good. And I'm really enjoying that the games just come out of that one. Like, I really was not happy with the other two. Now I'm going to put in Zelda. Okay. Not going to blow in it. Not going to do it. Game, if it can't play Zelda, we got an issue. Oh, okay. There it was again. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's high-pitched sounds, like something seems to be weird about it's not playing the high-pitched sounds like it should be, and I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, really. There, on JJ. Yep, there it was. That doesn't sound like the same victory that I had before. Like, the sound is definitely a little off. Like, it's not as powerful as should be. It's not as... I don't know. I'm having trouble articulating the idea here to you, but it doesn't sound as epic, I guess. A lot of the high noise is kind of lost. Like, it becomes more of like a fuzziness to me. Like, the oomph just is not there. Now I'm going to get this sword, and it's going to be all muffled doo-doo-doo-doo. Well, that time didn't sound bad. Well, why did it sound funny the first time? Okay. Let me get out here into the light. You'll notice that on the Nintendo we were really having an issue with the green, and thankfully that did not transfer over. Get the fuck off me, faggot. Thankfully that did not transfer over to Zelda, because if green was an issue on Zelda for the Super Nintendo, we'd have a real serious issue. But as I'm looking at it right now, I'd say that this looks fine. I think my only issue would definitely be if you couldn't save. That would be a huge deal to me. But from what I've noticed, we tested a save. It didn't seem to have any issues with it. It worked. And if you can save and you can play, and it seems nice and bright and vibrant, and I'm noticing the blues come out real nice, definitely. And blue's not an easy color. Not a lot of people know that. But blue is one of those weird colors on TVs that don't normally work. It's usually kind of weaker and more difficult to get to work, which is another reason why Blu-ray kind of fleshes out those older movies and makes them just a little more powerful. You'll notice that blues and greens are kind of weak on a lot of those older movies, and they get fleshed out easier on the new stuff. I almost fell. I'd say I've gone as far in Zelda as I need to get my point across. I'm not trying to have an actual review of the game. I am trying to review the system. And so far, the best part about the system would have to be the Super Nintendo. The Sega is kind of decent. I don't like that you can't use those controls, but this seems to be working just fine. Bitch! Hey! It's my dinosaur. Poop! Super Mario, no problems. And the last game I'm going to go into now, it's probably my favorite SNES game they ever made, and it didn't work. This would be a real deal breaker for me if it does not fucking play Mario Kart. So I'm gonna try this again. That was poopy right there. What just happened? One more. That's all I'm giving it. Okay, it's in there. Solid. Yeah? Yeah? With the Mario Kart? And the driving and the mushrooms? Okay. I've tried multiple times. I feel like this doesn't play Super Mario Kart. That's a compatibility issue. Major. Fucking major. Does this still work? Does the whole thing? Is the whole thing fucked up? No, that still works. That means that it's a fucking compatibility error. You're gonna get these with clones. It fucking sucks. But there's no Super Mario Kart on this thing. That's a big fucking deal for me. This is probably my favorite game they've ever released on the Super Nintendo, and you can't fucking play it. Like, I'm trying to be fair, but that's a real fucking issue. And another thing that I've heard is not just that this fucking game doesn't work. I didn't hear that, but I've heard that the Super Mario RPG does not work. And that is another one of those games that, without a doubt, defined what the Super Nintendo was. And if you can't fucking play it... Okay. So let's get down to it. Did they sell me garbage? Probably not. I'd say maybe overall, I'd say that the Nintendo, some of the games feel that green, there's just too much green. Like, it was really, really overpowering. I was really having an issue with that. So, I'm going to say that the Nintendo side probably isn't your best bet. You should probably get a top-loader NES 101 and leave this thing alone. The Sega, if you have Sega controllers, I'd say check it out. It seemed to work. It seemed to have no issue working. It was quiet, but I can't say that that's necessarily a bad thing. Your TV does have volume up and down, so it's not nothing you can't fix. And the fact that it's working on a high-def TV in general, that's pretty much a big deal too, because as we move forward, we've got a lot of these new systems, new TVs. Some of the older systems won't work. A lot of people had the misfortune of buying, let's say, I'm not trying to plug here, but what I have is a Sharp Aquos. Now, when I bought it, one of the first issues that I came across was that there's only one AV. Only one. There's one AVI area. And that means that I have to constantly switch out the cords for whatever I'm putting in. But my friend, who bought the exact same TV 1 year later, the next model up, there was no AVI connectors and no RF either, or whatever, the thing in the back, the proxy or whatever. Coaxial is what they call it. Without those there, you can't play Nintendo, you can't play Super Nintendo, you can't play Sega, you can't even play the Wii. And the Wii's not an old system. It's I guess it's getting its age now, but it's one of the major competitors in the new console wars. And if you buy a new HD TV, you automatically can't fucking play a third of the video game library in the console war. So TVs are kind of causing issues here, but his does have an S-Video. So if he had this, he could still play the two parts that seemed to be worth it. It seemed to emulate Sega well. It wasn't tragic. And the Super Nintendo held its own, though I felt the sound was a little bit muffled. The sound was a little bit of an issue, but I didn't seem to have a problem with the colors that everybody was crying about on the Super Nintendo. So, three for the back. Sega's probably going to get a 4. My biggest issue being that those controllers are fucking garbage, and that the grip is really fucking bothers me. It majorly fucking bothers me. And the front here, I was originally gonna say that it was almost perfect until it wouldn't play Super Mario Kart. So you're gonna miss out on certain games if you get something like this, but if you're really just trying to introduce yourself to 3 old school retro type systems, this might not be a bad deal for you. You can get them for about $40 on eBay. The actual site will sell them to you brand new. That's Hyperkin, I believe. They'll sell them to you brand new. They go about anywhere $65, $50, somewhere in that price range, which isn't bad, but you're going to pay extra money because you have to buy the controllers. And if that's true, I'm going to have to endorse the original systems. I'm going to have to. You have to buy the controllers anyway. It's going to be a little extra money on you because it's going to cost you anywhere from $20 to $40 to get each system one at a time. And that's going to be quite a bit more money. If you're a cheap ass and you really can't wait and you have to try out your retro games right now, you have to try to get into something like this, I'd say go for it. It's probably the best clone. It was better than the Twin. It was better than the FC or the next. There's another one out there called like Next Generation or something like that. It's an NES clone. And as far as clones go, they're never going to be as good as the original, but this is probably the best one I've ever seen. I like that it included the controller ports, and maybe if you're not that hardcore of a gamer, if you just want to try some of these games and get into it, this might be worth your money. So overall, I think I'll give this thing a 3.5 and call it a night. Retron 3. If my attitude changes or I seem to come up with something else later on, I'll post extra pieces to this review, but for right now, it's all I've got to say. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, you know what that is? That's Super fucking Mario Kart. Since Mario Kart now works on this thing, this Retro N3, Retron 3 Tri-System, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to take my previous score, I'm going to add a notch to it, because this is a huge deal for me. This is something that is by far one of the greatest fucking games I've ever played in my life, and I can now play it on this thing, and it can sit up here and not take that much space. The convenience policy and the idea that I can still play this game. I know I'm changing my score here, but this is a big fucking deal, okay? This game by itself makes everything fucking better, okay? So, I'll probably give this thing like, I'll give it a 3.7. That's almost a 4 without a doubt. I'm not going to go all the way because I still haven't had the chance to test like Super Mario RPG. When I get that game, if that works on here, then that's a pretty sweet deal. The Super Nintendo is solid. The Sega seems pretty solid. The Nintendo is poopy. But I guess I enjoyed playing Ninja Gaiden, so this thing gets about a 3.7. Very close to a 4, but I'm not going to give it a 4 because I believe the original systems are really 5 out of 5. They're the best you can possibly do. And the fact that they had to include controllers because these wireless things are terrible, that I drop a grade point right off the bat. And the fact that the Nintendo isn't that great, I'm going to take about a 0.3 off of the system overall. And I'm going to say this is a 3.7 system. And maybe I would say get it. It's a good chance to try out some of your retro gaming, and maybe if nothing else, get started for those people that have never tried before. So it's a big fucking deal.